and determination of our area athletes. This is The Score on WQAD News 8.
Welcome to The Score Sunday. We're back after our summer break, and we're getting ready for the high school football season. Over the next half hour, we'll look at many of our teams from the viewing area and get you prepared for the upcoming season, which kicks off this Friday.
Football season is officially here. Our favorite time of the year. If you're talking Illinois football, you got to bring back an old friend of ours, Greg Armstrong. Used to do sports here at WQAD, and now is the owner, originator, creator, carrier of...
I think I just talked football in front of a microphone.
View from the West podcast. Make sure you check it out. It's growing. More and more people listening to it. It's a fantastic thing that he does each and every week. We get to go on there every once in a while and make fools of ourselves.
When I need experts.
Exactly. But anyway, so let's talk. We'll start with the Western Big Six, and it's always an interesting season, and it's always interesting to talk about them coming in. I don't know if there's a season more, and I'll start with you, Greg, that we don't know what's going to happen than this season. If you say you know who's winning the Western Big Six, I think we all have our predictions and everything, but it's up for grabs like it is almost every year.
Yeah, I think every year we kind of talk about the Western Big Six, could be up for 4 or 5 teams for the chance to win it. This year, again, is similar. When you look at, there's a lot of unknowns. I think there's a little bit unknown with Moline, a little bit of unknown with Sterling. Geneseo has pieces back, but they got to prove it. They're trying to get back to the playoffs. United Township, another team that's had a lot of questions, but still has a lot of talent. Yeah. I think the one team we know the most about in the Western Big Six is Quincy.
So let's start breaking it down. I guess you'd almost start, you want to start with the defending champion, but I'm not gonna with you, because I know you like Geneseo. And that's, I think, the team that we know the most about, because you got a lot of kids that have been playing since their sophomore season. They're now seniors. I got out and talked to Coach Johnson a few weeks ago, and that's one thing. This senior class is special, and they got a lot of football underneath their belts. This is the year they've kind of been pushing for a long time.
I think it starts with a quarterback, right? An experienced quarterback like A.J. Weller. He comes in, he's not going to be phased. He's not, the moment won't be too big for him, and I think he kind of leads the way amongst a very experienced group. None of them are going to be phased, but it's good to have that leader behind quarterback position who can run the offense. This has been an offense that we've seen kind of evolve over the years for Geneseo. It's different than it was 10 years ago or more.
Coach Johnson used to say, we're not going to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
They've kind of reinvented, they've tweaked the wheel a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Well, let's get to our defending champion. That is Moline, and if we're going to talk about Moline,
we'll talk.
You know who knows the most? It's the Moline alum right here. They gotta replace a lot of talent.
They do.
Some special kids, but they like what they got.
They lose a ton of guys on both sides of the ball. But the one thing he said, he goes, I like our line. Nano Cepeda coming back. They call him the samurai because of the way his hair is. He is the guy that's going to anchor this line. He's been with them for a few years. The other guys around him have been the backups, but they're more athletic. So they like what they have up front. They got to figure out who the quarterback is. They're working on that right now. And then who's going to be that guy to fill in where Riley Fuller kind of had the great season that he had last year. One thing you might see them do a little bit more is throw the ball. The quarterback, whoever it's going to be, he has some receivers. Xander Ely is going to be one of those guys. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they've got some guys coming back that are going to be really good. This is a team that they know they're coming off the Western Big Six championship. They have that target just because, one, they won it, two, they're Moline. Mike Morrissey says that doesn't stop where they want to be. They want to be Western Big Six champs again, but if they do, it's going to be a tough road to hoe because there's some good teams this year in the Western Big Six.
Very similar in Sterling as well, where it's Sterling. They're going to be good. Like we know they're going to. We know what John Schlemmer does, but they have a lot of question marks because a ton of talent is gone from last year. But they reload in Sterling.
Yeah, it seems like inevitably we talk about this every few years, right? Where, man, all the names are gone. Well, then by next year, we'll know all the names again, right? So I think there's some players out there that are coming back that should have an impact. One that I'm really interested to watch, Andre Claver had a great basketball season.
Yeah.
He's back off an injury last year. He should have an immediate impact. And I just look around and you know that the Sterling team is going to be put in the right position to make plays. And a lot of years, most years, these players execute. So I look for them to be in the mix along with Moline, Geneseo, and Quincy. Those will be the teams up near the top.
They have a big guy up front, Lucas Austin, who's getting some D1 looks right now. Everything they do through the line will be through him.
UT's the one I'm going to talk about just for a second because I just went over there this week. And last year, I was sold when I left UT. I'm like, this team is going to be good. They're going to break the streak. They haven't been to the postseason since 2001, I think. And it was a bump in the road. It was intriguing because I talked to a couple of players, and one of them said to me, I think we bought into the hype. they get all those guys back. And they went 1-8 last year, but you can look at their schedule and you can see these guys and you can be like, there's talent. I mean, Corey Randall's an electric football player, and they got a young sophomore back I know that Coach Welch is super excited about. Matthew Kelly's their quarterback, and there are 4 or 5 guys up front, I think. So I'm intrigued really by United Township. It's all there to be really good, and they know they got to prove it.
I think if you look back at this United Township team, that, you know, the year started off rough for them, and then maybe the wheels kind of fell off, you know, as the year went. I think they were banged up. I don't think they were healthy. So I think that part of the problem was just, you know, there was a snowball effect. I think you hit the reset button. You start now with a lot of those guys that are back. They've learned from a tough year. I think there's an opportunity here for 5 wins. I think they'd have to pull off what would be considered maybe upsets on paper, but I think they could get there.
We haven't talked about Rock Island.
Yep.
New head coach, familiar head coach in Fritz Udone. I think they got it right. I really do. I know some people are focused too much on numbers and a 1-17 and all that kind of stuff. They got the right guy. They have some talent back. Rocky's just that team that another unknown in the Western Big Six on how good they can be.
Oh, I think so, and that's one of the things that over the years with Ben Hammer, they've always had athletic teams, they've always had offensive teams. Defense has been the problem with Rock Island. Can Fritz turn that around, get teams to not score 40, 50 points and keep them in the 20s, maybe even in the teens? If they can do that, this team has a chance to make a good run this year, which I think they can do.
All right, Quincy's like that team that everybody, I mean, we had Coach Little at the banquet earlier this week. He hadn't been there in 16 years. So you know they're good.
Mike Morrissey said it. If he's here now, you know we're all in trouble.
and we did your podcast and talked with Matt Schuckerman about that. Tell us about Quincy and why is everybody so excited about these Blue Devils?
I mean,
or worried about.
Yeah, I guess worried about if you're in the local area here. But I think when I look at this Quincy roster, it just, you know, the stats speak for themselves. Braden Little at quarterback was, you know, dynamic last year, was throwing all over the field. He's got Aiden Byquist back. He's got Jack Metalmeyer back. Jarius Rice at running back is back. I mean, all their big pieces are in place. That's not to mention they have linemen back, they have defense back. I think they're well-rounded. They have a lot of talent, and this is a group similar to kind of what we've talked about with some other teams. They've kind of circled this year. This is a year, and Schuckman said as much on the podcast, people are talking about around the Quincy area, there's a chance they could go 9-0. There's a chance they could do some stuff that's never been done in Quincy history. And it's lofty goals, it's high expectations, but I really think that Rick Little and his team are embracing that. They know that there's an opportunity there for them to do great things.
Well, we're way over time. We do need to talk about Galesburg real quick, and just a little unknown with Galesburg because they're young, they're talented. I know that Coach Blackwell is talented, excited about that youth, but another team that needs to make, they seem like they're that team that might be a year behind what Geneseo and UT are now, where they're kind of going to start some younger players, see how they develop. It's always a great atmosphere down there. We talked about the Western Big Six for an hour and a half.
It's a long one.
You can go check out the podcast, View from the West, and Greg and us knuckleheads and Shuck did a great job with that. So you want to check that out as well. We're going to keep Greg around because we're going to talk about the small schools in the Western Big Six, or small schools in the state of Illinois, coming up in just a little bit. So he's going to hang around. He'll be back later. We'll talk about the Iowa side of the river and discuss a few big schools on that side of the river coming up next right here on The Score.